Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thems and theys, to the podcast Daddy Variety Show, the show that has no rhyme or reason, just things in season. Now here's the host with a wiener to match his demeanor, the podcast Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start this episode, I want you to do one thing with me before we really dive into it. I want you to get a sniff of that fresh, clean air. Now, there's only two things that could prove that the air is clean enough to breathe now. Either A, we stop dumping toxic waste into all of our lakes, oceans, bodies of water, living environments, or B, My Hero Academia has finally finished. And I will tell you, the best days of days has happened. My Hero Academia has finally fucking concluded. Oh, God, I've been waiting for this since I started reading it. Now, you might think, well, podcast, what's so wrong with My Hero Academia? It's another manga dealing with superheroes. It is. Yes, it is. I understand that. I get that. I've read the motherfucker from front to back. I understand what it's about. Totally get it. My thing has always been, this story makes no sense. Like, they always just have one big bad. This has to be close to 700 chapters of high school students fighting a homicidal maniac. Now, I know that's the main flipping point of a lot of shows, but they did it in such a weird way. They did it in a way where the main protagonist, Deku, had no quirks to begin with, but then he ate some hair. And now all of a sudden he has the powers of 8 different people. Do you see where I'm losing disconnect here? Like, that makes no sense. In the entire series, he is a big crybaby. And I know people are going to come at me with, oh, but he's just a kid. He's just a kid in this entire show. And he's dealing with very, very traumatic events. And it's like, well, they're traumatic, but not enough traumatic to where this guy needs to cry every time something small happens. I mean, dear mother of God, I don't want to be one of those people, but we read stories like Berserk or Dragon Ball Z or Dear Christ on a Crucifix, put me up there if you will. Even on Naruto, we didn't have that much crying as we did in My Hero Academia. And I will stand on this. But we finally hit the last chapter. And, of course, this is a big selling point with a lot of people, is the last chapter, we had a 8-year time skip. And it shows that Deku no longer has his powers, which, again, if you've stuck with it for a long time, you know after this Great War arc, he was not going to have any powers to finish it off. And seeing him become a teacher is not... It doesn't surprise me at all, because they had to finish it. This was not a story that was going to have a bad ending. This was not going to be a story that had a sad ending or an ending where everything kind of wraps up. That's not what it would be. It finished off with, hey, you remember the guy from the beginning of the story that had no quirks? And then this entire story, we gave him the chance to learn on his quirks, learn how to use them, so he can use for All for One, so he can go fight him. And it was like, yeah, okay. So he finally mastered his technique that he was supposed to have after talking to all of the other 8 One for Alls. Like, after he talked to all of them, then you'd figure, oh, cool, so he's going to be this next All Might. That's what's going to happen. He's going to be the next big superhero to come out of the scene. Fuck you. That's not what happened at all. You want to know what happens? He loses his quirk, the one that he has been painstakingly working on for this last, I'd say 2-3 years. The one quirk that he fought so hard to learn how to use. Yeah, no, fuck you. At the end of the show, he loses his quirk, he gets a haircut, and he becomes a teacher. I hope that's the ending you wanted because that's the ending you got. Now, I've argued with Deadman about this numerous times, about why I don't like My Hero Academia. It's not that I don't like it, I just think it's very poor. It doesn't captivate me like it should, which if it captivates you as a fan, good. Go take a fucking shower while you're thinking about how captivating this story is, please. Please, the rest of us and the anime and manga community are begging you, for the love of Christ, go take a shower. But my issue was towards the end. Was towards the end of the series when they were going in for the one big final hoorah war fight that was going to tie all this up with a pretty bow, hand it to the audience and be like, here you go. You have accepted this and this is the shit you get. My problem was they did the same thing that Naruto did. If you haven't read all, and this, I'm talking OG Naruto, not Shippuden, not Baruto. I'm talking OG. Still has, oh wait, no, that would be Shippuden. Yeah, Shippuden, however you fucking say it. Who cares? It's Naruto. That's like one of my least favorite ones. I gotta focus. But at the end of Shippuden, they decided we don't know where to finish this. All we're finishing this with is one gigantic war. It's going to be against the big bad leader of the Uchiha clan. The one that has been this underlying force the entire thing. We don't know how we can incorporate any of the main characters in this, so you want to know what we're going to do? You want to know what we're going to do right here? We're going to throw every single character throughout this entire series, and I hope to God you remember them, because if you don't, we're not going to explain a fucking thing. And that is the same thing My Hero Academia did at the end. They didn't know how to finish it. They wanted it to be this last. They didn't want it to be, let's focus on Deku so we can have him, the main character, tied all together. No. They pulled, the story was about the friends we made along the way. Look at all of these cool cast of characters that just went and gone every single mission. Nobody remembers any of them, but let's bring them in. And that is where they lost a lot. Well, that's where they lost me, at least, because once you start throwing people in from back seasons or back arcs, it makes no sense to have them in. There was a lot of things towards the endings that didn't make as much sense as you want it to, and I think I want to dive deep into that. But this episode is merely just me saying that thank God My Hero Academia is over, and now we can find a bunch of now the weebs that stank that fandom up can now go find something else to stink up. Why don't you guys go over to the Bleach section? Make them not likable. They're starting to get a little annoying. Like, I know My Hero Academia and Bleach fans, they're both annoying, but the Bleach ones are a clean annoying. Go over there and musty it up. Because I just can't handle all these anime endings, all these manga endings anymore, because you can see them coming a mile away, and that's the shit part. With this, I thought there was going to be a lot more deep dive into the character. Like, Deku was going to be able to keep his quirk. He was still going to be a teacher, or he was going to be the newest alteration for One for All. Like, I thought that's what was exactly down to a T what was going to happen. But I think they just wanted to put this with a bow, wrap it up nice and neat, and just say, oh, well, no quirk. He's a teacher. Hope you guys like that ending. And if you didn't, you can go fuck yourself. So, it's done. It's over with. I no longer have to force myself to read it. I don't know why I read it in the first place, but I read it. I finished it. 4 out of 10. Would it recommend? Would not recommend this shit. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into a new episode of Podcast Daddy Variety Show. If you want to follow me, the only social media I really use is X, so x.com/enoughsnuff. And that's really it. We're back to streaming on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is all she wrote, folks. I hope everybody has a great day, has a wonderful night. And now that you guys no longer have a show to sit and obsess over, you can go take a shower. So please, My Hero Academia fans, keep your balls clean. You guys have no excuse now.